Hello everyone. This is Lena. Welcome to the Book Summary Library. This channel will provide you with a time to take a break and learn while you are busy every day. In this channel, we will introduce the essence of Japanese business books in an easy-to-understand and relaxed manner. Today's theme is The Complete History of Business Strategy. It's a title that seems to improve your luck just by hearing it. But when you hear strategy or history, don't you think it sounds difficult? That's for managers and business elites, isn't it? But wait a minute. This story is actually full of points that are useful in our daily lives. For example, how to plan a family trip, or what to prioritize next when shopping. This is actually the same way of thinking as business strategy. If you listen to today's content, not only will your options at work increase, but your daily life may become a little more fun. And above all, I think you will once again realize the importance of learning from the past. History is not just an old story. Knowing it will give you the power to open up the future. Today, I will deliver such an exciting story to you. So, let's relax together and take a look into the world of the history of business strategy. I'm sure you'll discover a lot of new things. So, first, let's delve deeper into the appeal of this book. Please look forward to it. Listen. Well, first, let's talk about the beginning of the history of business strategy. This book traces the evolution of business strategy over about 100 years, and the person who took the first step was a man named Frederick Taylor. He advocated scientific management. It may be an unfamiliar term, but it's actually a way of thinking that is connected to the world around us. For example, imagine the following situation. At a school sports day, the whole class is jumping rope together. The goal is for the whole class to jump 100 times, but it's not going well. That's because everyone is jumping in different ways. But then the leader says, okay, let's adjust the position of each person holding the rope and yell in unison, and when everyone starts jumping in a consistent rhythm, they quickly succeed. This is the idea behind Taylor's scientific management. In Taylor's time, there were many situations in which work in American factories could not be called efficient. Workers worked in the way that was easiest for them, but this in turn caused productivity to decrease. So Taylor thought, why not analyze each task and find the most efficient way? Specifically, he measured the work time with a stopwatch and the distance traveled with a tape measure to collect detailed data. And finally, he came to the conclusion that we should prepare the best shovel for each task. This method was beneficial for both workers and employers. If productivity increases, the company's profits increase and the workers' wages also increase. He aimed to create a state where everyone is happy. However, at this point, another important person, Elton Mayo, appeared and said, wait, isn't that just half the story? Mayo thought, humans are not machines, so the environment and emotions affect productivity, right? So he conducted experiments by changing the working conditions, and interestingly, the productivity of the workers increased no matter what the environment. The key point was that they felt that they were being watched, and people had high expectations of them. For example, imagine a scene when your child wants to help you make dinner with your family. If you ask your child to put the dishes in order, he or she will look happy and eager to help. This is because the child feels that people had high expectations of them. Mayo's human relations theory was also used in the workplace. In this way, Taylor's scientific management and Mayo's human relations theory may seem to be polar opposites at first glance, but in fact they both have important perspectives. Taylor emphasized efficiency, while Mayo focused on human emotions. These ideas shaped the origins of modern management. Next, I will talk about the process by which business strategies evolved further from the 1930s to the 1960s. During this period, there were major social events such as the Great Depression and World War II, and managers had to seriously think about how to survive this harsh environment. As a result, a new wind was blown into the world of business strategies. First of all, what is noteworthy about this era is that the role of managers became clearer. One of the key figures in this was a man named Chester Barnard. He seriously considered the question, what is an organization, and proposed 3 elements: a common purpose, willingness to contribute, and communication. Simply put, the key to creating a strong organization is to share the same goal, to be willing to cooperate toward it, and to communicate effectively. To give an example, it's like planning a family trip. The whole family shares that the destination is a theme park, common purpose. To achieve this, the children pack their bags, the father drives, and the mother prepares lunches, willingness to contribute. Then, before the trip, everyone discusses, we're leaving at 8 a.m., so let's get up at 7 a.m. Communication. If this goes well, it will lead to a fun trip. In addition, this era also saw the emergence of Peter Drucker, who is known as the father of management. He left behind the famous quote, "The purpose of a company is to create customers," and emphasized that the most important job of a manager is to create value. For example, providing unique value such as a small cafe that becomes a place of relaxation for the local people. This is an example of what Drucker calls customer creation. In addition, during this period, there was a movement to establish business strategy as a science. Particularly notable was the emergence of strategic tools for stable growth. These placed emphasis on analysis using numbers, and methods that are still used today, such as SWOT analysis and PPM, product portfolio management, were born one after another. For example, a company that deals in camping equipment could classify its products into best-selling products, products that will be popular in the future, and products that are not very profitable, and determine where to concentrate resources. This type of analysis became possible. On the other hand, strategy in this era was also the art of growth. In other words, there were aspects that could not be explained by theory or analysis alone, and each company needed its own unique approach. This later led to a way of thinking called the positioning school. This is a simple but powerful idea that you will succeed if you take an advantageous position in a profitable market. Now, let's take a closer look at the important strategic tools we've discussed so far, such as SWOT analysis and PPM, and give some concrete examples. Let's start with SWOT analysis. This tool is a way to organize the current state of a company or project from 4 perspectives: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. For example, let's take a popular local bakery. Strengths. Their homemade bread made with carefully selected natural yeast is well known, and they have many repeat customers. Weaknesses. Because the store is small, they can only bake a limited number of loaves at a time, and they often sell out. Opportunities. A new residential area is opening nearby, which could increase the number of potential customers. Threats. A major chain bakery may open nearby, resulting in a price war. By conducting a SWOT analysis like this, you can clearly see what you should focus on and what risks you should be wary of. For example, in the case of this bakery, the strategy would be to use our strengths to promote the appeal of natural yeast bread more widely, while thinking of ways to increase the number of breads we can bake to compensate for our weaknesses. Next, let's look at PPM, product portfolio management. This is a method of classifying a company's products and businesses into 4 categories based on market share and market growth rate. By using PPM, you can determine which businesses to invest in and which to withdraw from. As a concrete example, let's consider an outdoor equipment manufacturer. Star Product. A popular hiking backpack with a high growth rate and market share. It is also the face of the brand and a pillar of profits. Question mark. A new lightweight tent that is in a growing market but still has a low market share. The issue is whether to invest in this tent to increase market share. Cash cow. A classic steel camping chair that is growing slowly but has a high market share and brings in stable profits. Loser. An old model cooler box with low growth and market share. Market needs have changed and sales are sluggish. This analysis allows you to come up with a specific strategy, such as investing advertising dollars in lightweight tents, which are considered problem children, to expand your market share, while scaling back production of old cooler boxes, which are considered losers. In addition, let me touch on Porter's 5 forces analysis as another supplement. This is a framework for analyzing the competitive environment using 5 factors. Specifically, it evaluates the number of competitors, the bargaining power of customers, the presence of substitutes, and so on. For example, if you are planning to open a new cafe, existing competitors. If there are many similar cafes in the neighborhood, you will need to compete on price and differentiate yourself. Threat of new entrants. In areas where new cafes are likely to increase in number, you will need to have already established your own uniqueness. Threat of substitutes. There is a possibility that convenience stores and takeout specialty stores will become popular instead of cafes. Buyer's bargaining power. If customers are price sensitive, you will have to endure price wars while maintaining high quality. Supplier's bargaining power. If the purchase prices of coffee beans, milk, etc. rise, profits will be squeezed. By conducting this analysis, you can reduce the risk of new entrants and prepare to win the competition. Next, I will talk about the birth and evolution of the positioning school and the capability school. As business strategies continue to evolve, 2 major schools of thought, the positioning school and the capability school, have been born. These are ways of thinking that look for the secret to success from different perspectives, but both play an important role in corporate strategy design. First, there is the positioning school. Simply put, this school focuses on finding an advantageous location in the market. For example, when opening a restaurant, you might think, there are not many Italian restaurants in this area, so selling pizza here will be profitable. The background to this idea was the period of high economic growth that began in the 1960s. At that time, the economy was expanding, so if you could secure a solid position in the market, you could expect stable growth just by protecting that position. Specific tools that were often used were the SWOT analysis and Porter's 5 forces analysis that I explained earlier. Using these, you thoroughly investigate the market environment and find the most advantageous position for yourself. This is the basic strategy of the positioning school. However, from the 1970s to the 1980s, a trend began to cast doubt on the positioning school. This was triggered by the success of Japanese companies. At that time, Japanese automobile and home appliance manufacturers entered the American market and achieved overwhelming success, but these companies did not focus on profitable positions. Rather, they ventured into markets that other companies avoided because they thought they were difficult, and used their strengths to build a competitive advantage. This is where the capability school came into play. This school emphasizes the idea of creating a strategy based on the company's capabilities and resources. In other words, the idea is that, rather than finding a position in the market, you should deeply understand what you are good at and use that as your weapon to fight. For example, if a furniture manufacturer decides that our strength is craftsmanship, so let's focus on high-quality custom-made furniture rather than mass production, that would be a capability school strategy. With this approach, it is important to look inside the company and find the source of competitiveness. Specific tools include the 7S framework and VRIO analysis. For example, in VRIO analysis, the company's resources are evaluated from 4 perspectives: value, rarity, imitability, and organization. This allows you to clarify what are our company's strengths. At first glance, these 2 schools of thought seem to be in conflict, but in fact both are important. Analyzing the market environment and taking an appropriate position, as well as fighting by leveraging your company's strengths, are both perspectives necessary for strategy design. Then, after the 1990s, these two schools of thought were integrated. The idea that either one is insufficient, and both should be combined, spread, and a new approach called the configuration strategy was born. This strategy aims to design an optimal strategy by making good use of both the company's internal capabilities and the external environment in a balanced way. I will explain the 7S framework and the configuration strategy in detail. In the 1990s, business strategies entered a new phase. The idea of a configuration strategy that combines the two schools of thought was born as the positioning school, and the capability school evolved from conflict to harmony. This approach is a strategy that takes the best of both worlds. The market environment is important, but we cannot ignore the strengths within the company. Let's use both to create the optimal strategy. For example, think of a soccer team. To win a game, you need to study the tactics of the opposing team, market environment, and come up with a countermeasure. But that alone is not enough to win. It is meaningless unless you make full use of the playing style that your team is good at and the abilities of its particularly excellent players, internal strengths. This idea of looking at both the outside and the inside in a balanced way is the core of the configuration strategy. The 7S framework is also very useful in understanding this flow. This framework is a way of thinking that divides the factors that make a company successful into hard elements and soft elements and seeks overall harmony. Specifically, the following 7 elements are taken into consideration. Strategy. In which market to compete and how to compete. Structure. The division of roles and allocation of authority within the organization. Systems. Mechanisms and processes that streamline operations. Shared values. Philosophy and culture shared throughout the organization. Skills. Unique capabilities and strengths of the organization. Staff. Quality and placement of personnel working in the organization. Style. Leadership style and organizational culture. These elements affect each other, and if even one is missing, it can have a negative impact on the performance of the entire organization. For example, let's say an IT company has a strategy to lead the market with AI technology strategy. However, if the company's engineers are not sufficiently trained, skills, there is a lack of communication between employees, style, or a clear vision is not shared values, the strategy will not work well. In this way, harmonizing the 7 elements is the key to success. And the configuration strategy is very compatible with the idea of the 7S framework. For example, the 7S framework provides specific guidelines for questions such as, which elements are lacking to take a position in the market, and where should we strengthen our strengths to utilize our company's strengths. In this way, business strategies have evolved since the 1990s to become increasingly complex and comprehensive. The world of business strategies will undergo a major turning point as we enter the 21st century. The reason for this is that the business environment has changed dramatically. For example, the progress of globalization, the acceleration of technological innovation, and the increase in unpredictable risks. These factors have created new challenges that cannot be addressed by traditional fixed strategies. Among these, innovation and adaptive strategies have attracted attention. The idea of innovation originates from the theory of disruptive innovation, proposed by Christensen. This is the provision of new value that fundamentally changes the existing market, and a typical example is how smartphones have completely transformed the feature phone market. Small companies and startups create huge markets by cutting into niches in markets that large companies have not noticed. This is the essence of disruptive innovation. On the other hand, adaptive strategies are especially important in times of uncertainty. This strategy is about trying small things and finding ways to make things work, rather than planning everything. For example, if you are opening a new restaurant, Instead of opening 10 stores at once, start with one store as an experiment to see if the menu and services are well received. Based on the results, think about your next move. This kind of flexibility is essential for modern management. In addition, in the 21st century, collaboration beyond the boundaries of a company has become important. This is supported by network strategies and social initiatives. For example, an apparel company may collaborate with a local artist to sell limited edition products to increase the appeal of its brand. This is the idea that not only the company but the entire region will benefit from this. Sustainability has also become an important theme in modern business strategies. Aiming for long-term growth while taking into consideration the environment and society. This idea does not just improve the company's image, but also leads to customer trust and new market development. For example, let's say a food manufacturer completely eliminates plastic packaging and adopts recyclable materials. This not only reduces the burden on the environment, but also has the potential to attract a new customer base that is environmentally conscious. Finally, the key to strategies in the 21st century is to embrace diversity. This includes not only incorporating people with various backgrounds into the organization, but also deepening exchanges with different industries and cultures to incorporate new perspectives and ideas. It is from this diversity that the hints for opening up the next era are born. So far, we have talked about specific theories and tools while tracing the history and evolution of business strategy. And I hope you will feel that all of these give us hints to support our daily lives and future. The biggest message that the complete history of business strategy teaches us is the importance of continuing to learn in the midst of change. For over 100 years, various theories and tools have been born, developed, and sometimes selected as we search for better ways. This process also applies directly to the daily lives of individuals. For example, when acquiring new skills at work or improving relationships with family, it is necessary to try new methods while making use of past experiences. Another important point that this book discusses is the importance of balance. As the integration of the positioning school and the capability school shows, the key to success is to look closely at both the external environment and internal resources, rather than relying on only one aspect. If we apply this to our daily lives, it means that it is important to balance passion to push forward toward your goal, with calmness to prepare resources for that. This is surely a useful way of thinking when dealing with challenges in work and life. In addition, we ourselves should be aware of the flexibility and sustainability that are emphasized in 21st century management strategies. To survive in an age of high uncertainty, we need to take on small challenges and accumulate what works. For example, try a new hobby or start studying a field that interests you. This will help you pave the way to the future. Finally, what I felt most through this book is that history is a guidebook to the future. Knowing the past gives us hints for the future. That is why we must not forget to keep learning. This channel aims to deliver such learning in a relaxed manner. I hope this will inspire you to take the next step in your busy days. Thank you for your hard work today. And I sincerely hope that your future will be even brighter from now on. Thank you for your continued support of the Book Summary Library. Your support by subscribing to the channel and commenting will be very encouraging. See you again in the next commentary.